That ain't supposed to be in there.
Bearing spun too, right in the housing. Look at that.
It has destroyed that housing.
Surprised this crank didn't break. As we're working on a Nissan, this is their 5-liter, which is about 300 cubic inch V8 Cummins. It is in the Nissan. I think this is a 2018. It's got a noise. Let's start it up, see what we got. Let me fire that up again. Rev it up just a little bit. Rev it up a little bit. Whoa, again. Whoa, okay. All right, well, we know we're building crankcase pressure a lot more than we should. Is popping that oil cap right off of there. And I noticed the truck is seeping oil underneath of it. We're gonna lift it up, cut open the oil filter, have a look, and then let the customer know what we find. This is my first look at one of these 5 liters. Look at the oil coming out of the back of this engine. That crankcase pressure has probably blown out that rear main seal. This is the bell housing for the tranny. It's popped that rear main seal, and this thing is just pumping oil. Probably crankcase pressure got blown, you know, was building up, burned up a ring or something like that, built the crankcase pressure, popped the rear main seal. Customer wasn't aware of it, ran it low on oil, because I mean, this thing is pumping oil out of here. We just had this thing running for like, 30 seconds. And look what's already going on. He was probably driving it, popped that rear main seal, kept driving it, and literally ran it low on oil because of that. So let's open the oil filter and have a look. I looked up the price on this long block from Nissan, $23,000. Ouch! That's just for the motor. That's no labor. I don't even know where that comes with injectors, EGR coolers, and on and on and on. Let's hope we can do some magic for this guy. How many miles does this thing have on it?
40,000.
What?
40,000.
What? No way. Oh. If this pains me this much, what do you think the guy that's got to pay for it is going to feel like? 40,669 miles. There's particles all in this metallic-y looking stuff. Oh yeah, whoa, sheesh. I don't have a lot of bearing matter in this. I mean, not like I normally see on a connecting rod or a main bearing or something like that. I mean, it's very fine in here. Sometimes it just jumps out at you and sometimes it don't, but anyway, the motor's got to come out. We're gonna have to tear it open. Hi, this is Dave at Dave's Auto.
How are you doing?
Good. Hey, I'm helping Donald out on your car. Are you okay to talk to me about your truck here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got not a nice sounding noise in that. My guess is piston came apart or connecting rod or something like that. Now, you've got blow-by too. I'm going to try to explain this to you. There's a major oil leak coming out of the back of the engine where the transmission bolts up to the bell housing. So when I start the truck up and listen to it, I've also got a lot of crankcase pressure. And the only way you get crankcase pressure like that is when you get blow-by by the rings. So you've either burned a hole in a piston, and diesels, that's a common thing with diesels. So I'm gonna ask you a question. When you were driving this before, any check engine lights or anything like that?
No check engine light, no oil pressure light, no. I would have just parked it and called and got it on the trailer instead of driving.
So tell me, just walk me through again, like how you were driving it and go from there. How did you know you had a problem?
I was driving home, got about 100 miles in, the exhaust just got louder. Like it just sounded louder.
Uh-huh.
So I pulled into the first gas station I saw, popped the hood, crawled under it, got on FaceTime with my brother who's a large semi-mechanic. He goes, I don't see anything. So, if you can get home, get home. And it was maybe another 50 miles. And right before my exit, it just, blew up like that piston or whatever blew up. And that was, I just pulled over, shut it off, and called him to bring a trailer.
Did you happen to notice, were you getting a different color smoke out your exhaust or anything like that?
I wasn't. No change in exhaust color or anything.
Uh-huh. And it wasn't overheating, that your temperature gauge was normal and all that?
Yep, everything was reading normal, or I would have shut it off.
Yeah. All right, well listen, this is what we've got to do. I cut the oil filter open and I've got some glitter in it, but I don't have any big chunks. There is a pickup screen there, so it could be filtering out the chunks before it gets up into the oil pump and then pumped into the oil filter, but kind of copper looking, which is bearing material, but like I said, I don't have any big pieces. The first thing we got to do is pull the engine. You got to get the engine out, rip it down, and open it up and take a peek. It's exploratory surgery.
Right.
And once I do that, then we can decide what's the best plan of attack to fix this and give you a warranty and hopefully keep it a lot cheaper than what a complete motor is from Nissan. That's what we'll have to do. I'll have Donald send you a deposit, and my son Joey is actually the engine builder in my machine shop, and he'll do the teardown and inspection. And then the assessment of, do we need a whole heart or can we just do a bypass, if you kind of get my analogy there?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'll let Donald know. He's sitting here. He'll get a deposit out to you. We'll need that, and we'll get it in the queue and keep going. And we hope that we can do our best to cause you as less pain and suffering as possible. But anytime you got an engine, especially a diesel, rattling like this, it's not a good thing, but let's just see what happens.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
You bet, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's already in it. That 400 that we got in it, we can give him that credit. Okay, let's get this up off here. I'll help you. I want to look down in this motor. Wow. And look at this. So this is 40,000 miles. And this is what emission control is killing us.
Push the seal out, but it sure is blowing oil like crazy out of that thing.
There you go.
I got sparklies in there, but it's all that crap. Look at that, moving around in there. Oh baby, dig some of that out without poking your glove. Let me just put it out here. Let's take a look at that.
Huh. That ain't supposed to be in there. We obviously got some damage in there. So we'll keep going and figure out what it is. We have the problem, a spun main bearing. And when a main bearing spins in a block, unless you can get oversized bearings, OD oversized, the block is junk. So that's not good. Here's another indicator. How much heat has been on that. This one too. Look at that, all charred. Look at this. This every bearing on this. This bearing spun too, right in the housing. Look at that. This is probably why it sounded like a broke crank to me, is that crank usually, it's not all the main bearings, but that crank is just wallowing around in there. It's not even on a bearing surface. We'll get the rest of the motor over into the machine shop, finish tearing it down, and we'll do a long video of the build.
We've got this 5-liter Cummins here we're getting ready to tear down. It looks like we've spun a couple of main bearings here, pretty wiped out, so we'll see what we've got in there, if we can save the block or save the crank, but we'll see. Doesn't look too bad up here. Let's see what we got going on down here. Oh yeah, you can tell how it's mushroomed all that out there. It has destroyed that housing. Yep, another one spun. See how it's all black up here? That's from all the friction of the spun bearing in there burning the oil. Now that one's good. Yeah, so it's damaged that journal there. See all the bearing that's transferred over there? Same there. I'm surprised this crank didn't break. And that spun as well there. This one here, that's a good journal. That's what it should look like. You can see it's shiny. Show you one more thing that makes a block junk. This cap in here, how I can wobble it side to side like that, that's because this cap has actually stretched up in the housing. So this cap will no longer locate in here like these other ones will. These ones that didn't spin, if you'll look, they actually press in there. I can't move that cap at all. As to where this one, yeah, that's shot. We'll either need to make some billet caps for this block and fix the housing bore or replace the block.
All right, so we got a junk block here. Unless it can be fixed, either find a manufacturer that'll make you caps, or we can make them out of some billet. That's expensive, one-off. Or just get another block, a core, and rebuild that core. But that's what we'll have to do.